Good evening. I am meteorologist Mike Linden coming at you live from the MyRadar studio here in Orlando, Florida. If you are watching on YouTube, smash that like button, the thumbs up. It really helps us out a lot. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That way you always know whenever we drop a new video, or of course, whenever we do something like this and we go live. Of course, you can see all of our social media handles down below. We are on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram. We're on YouTube as well, as I mentioned. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitch, twitch.tv/MyRadarWX. You can find us streaming there right now as well. And of course, in the MyRadar app, which is available across all of the major mobile app platforms. Of course, we are coming at you this evening because of the likelihood of a severe weather outbreak tomorrow across the southern United States. I've got the MyRadar app pulled up here. We're going to take a look at the active watches and warnings in effect. And there is actually one in effect, or there it is, a tornado effect, or tornado warning, apologies, in effect right now to the south of Jackson, Mississippi. It's that red color there. We just actually recently updated the colors in the MyRadar app to match more with NOAA. And how about that? I mean, it's always good to see the tornado warnings go away, and that's exactly what we just saw here live in the broadcast. Got to turn my Vox on here so Aaron can hear me. There we go. And looking at Mississippi, this is where the most action is right now. Of course, you can turn on the watches and warnings by going into the layers menu. It looks like that stack of cards there. And then turning on the watches and warnings is going to be very important for a day like tomorrow. And you can go into the settings there and turn on your notifications. That is going to be very, very important as we head into the next 24 hours. And the reason why, apologies, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to bring in MyRadar storm chaser Aaron Jack, who is in Mississippi. We should have him here shortly.
Hey.
Okay,
hey,
Aaron.
How's it going?
All right, Aaron, can you hear me? Can't hear me? All right, hang on, guys. Okay, should be able to hear me, Aaron, now. You can hear me now? All right, cool.
I do hear you now.
Aaron, I don't want to blame my significant other because that would not be the right thing to do, but you can read between the lines there in terms of how I'm talking to you. All right, so let's talk about severe weather, right? That has kind of been the focus of what we have really been paying attention to, especially along the southern United States. A moderate risk for severe weather in effect for the southern United States, covering quite a few million people. First of all, Aaron, let's start off with where you are right now. Where are you?
Yeah, so I'm in Olive Branch, Mississippi, which is just to the south of Memphis. Basically, it's part of Memphis, but it is in Mississippi. Memphis is obviously in Tennessee. So I'm set up here. I'm just inside what would be the moderate risk area that's been painted by the SPC on that northern tip of it.
Yeah, we actually have the graphics from the Storm Prediction Center that we're going to bring up here. It's covering a rather large swath here of the southern United States. Walk me through what your expectations are, looking through the models, looking at and reading the discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. You know this part of the United States really well, and you know, this might be a discussion for another day. Tornado Alley might very well be changing in terms of where we see the most significant severe weather. It's kind of shifting from that central core of the United States more so to where we are likely to be seeing severe weather tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. If you look at some of those tornado heat maps that show you where the most tornadoes have been occurring over the past 5 to 10 years or so, it's definitely it's heating up there, and that, you know, a little bit more east of your traditional tornado alley, Dixie Alley. I mean, that's why it's called Dixie Alley, because it's it's the alley here out to the east of I-35. But it's it's a very difficult terrain for not just for chasing, but just for for weather spotters, for meteorologists, and for the public. You can't see the storms coming here. They come up. They're moving fast. There's lots of trees. And, we've got a potent system that looks like it's setting up for tomorrow. In fact, there's already a tornado warning just to my south in Jackson, I just was looking earlier, a tornado warning storm supercell going through there. So that's really, I mean, that's a telltale sign that you've got a very robust, dynamic system coming through here. They've got blizzard warnings up in the Texas Panhandle and possible severe weather there tonight and into Oklahoma and southern Kansas. And then that's the energy that's coming through. That's going to produce this. You're looking at now the moderate risk, the severe weather here that's coming through Dixie Alley tomorrow.
Yeah, it seems as if the severe storms and the severe weather, it's just getting started early this year. I mean, you were in the Texas Panhandle over the weekend, and that was an incredibly active system. And now heading into an event where the Storm Prediction Center is kicking around, potentially upgrading it to a high risk. If that were to verify, we had to look this up. The last time that there was a high risk issued in the month of March, we got to go all the way back to 2012, March 2nd, with a tornado outbreak across the Ohio Valley, some of which reached EF3 and EF4 classification, one of which was on the ground in eastern Kentucky for 80 miles as it crossed into West Virginia, a deadly tornado. And I think the people that live in the state of Kentucky learned a lesson in that moment, that just because you live in the mountains doesn't mean tornadoes can't happen there. And we were talking about the environment, Aaron. It is a very robust environment there along the southern United States. But let's before we move on, let me ask you one more question here. What is the game plan for tomorrow? Of course, this is a very large area of severe weather touching on multiple states, almost covering the entire state of Mississippi. What's the game plan for you for tomorrow?
Yeah, so my game plan is I've started, got here in the Memphis area because it's a little bit east of where I expect the storms to initially start firing. There's going to be, I expect to be severe warning storms in eastern Oklahoma, western Kansas, western Arkansas tomorrow. And so I'm just to the east of Arkansas. So I'm going to be looking in the morning. I was looking at the models earlier. It looks like we may even get some severe weather here in the morning in the Memphis area. Probably not tornadic, but they definitely could, they definitely have to be aware. There could be tornadoes. But, I mean, you can see right now there's that storm and just to the south in Jackson, that's tornado warned, and that's not in any kind of risk area right now, I don't believe. I'm going to be looking at storms. That the terrain in Arkansas is actually not too bad. The eastern half of Arkansas is very wide open, lots of fields and whatnot. So I may move a little to the west, depending on what the models look like tomorrow. And but I want to, one of the things that you want to do in here in Dixie is give yourself a little bit of room as a storm chaser between those storms. Be a little east of them. They're fast moving, and I want to look for that storm that looks like it's going to be the most potent storm, and give myself plenty of room to be able to make an intercept and report any kind of tornadoes that I see on the ground. The National Weather Service, and of course to the MyRadar followers, so that people can heed those warnings. And when you see that visual of a tornado, it's a very powerful warning.
Absolutely, Aaron. I've got to say, you're really putting in the miles, both on the road and with the job these past couple of days. More on the way for tomorrow, but these are the days, of course, in the world of weather. Each day is kind of batting practice, right? Until it really, really counts. And tomorrow is one of those days where it really counts. I want to say goodbye. I want you to get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. Of course, we are prepared here. We know that you are going to be very well prepared for tomorrow. Thank you so much again for joining us, and get some sleep. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you in the morning.
Thanks, Aaron. Talk to you tomorrow. So that is MyRadar storm chaser Aaron Jajak. The man has, again, been really putting in the miles. We hosted a Twitter Spaces conversation earlier this evening. It's a brand new feature to Twitter that we just found out that we could do. So watch out for that for tomorrow. And it was a really great way for people to ask Aaron questions. I see you all in the chat here. We really appreciate it, but we've got a lot to get to. So we're going to save that opportunity to do some question and answers with Aaron, potentially tomorrow in the Twitter Spaces, in Twitter Spaces. So look out for that. Follow us on Twitter at MyRadarWX. But Aaron is likely to be very, very busy tomorrow. Before we get to the weather graphics here, I want to talk to you about that last high-risk day in March. Again, March 2nd, 2012 was that last high-risk day for the month of March that of course, did result in numerous tornadoes across the state of Kentucky. But we can show you this graphic here. 70 confirmed tornadoes from that event. That is a record for the month of March, 2 of which were rated EF4, 9 of which were rated EF3, $3.1 billion in damage, and unfortunately resulted in 41 direct fatalities, 2 indirectly. But if we look at the state of Kentucky, that was where it was perhaps hardest hit. Anywhere where you can see a purple line, unfortunately, that denotes a deadly hurricane. Deadly tornado, rather. My apologies. And you can see that one just to the south of Moorhead, Kentucky there. That big purple line. That was the one I was talking about earlier that did stay on the ground for 80 miles and actually crossed through the eastern mountains of Kentucky and into West Virginia. Wild, wild stuff. When I was working in the state of Kentucky as a television reporter, I covered the aftermath of that storm. And it unfortunately did hit an elementary school. Everyone was okay in the school, but nonetheless, that is a very mountainous area of the state of Kentucky. So it was, needless to say, a shock that that event played out like it did. Now, as we chat right now, this is not a high-risk event. Now, it is a moderate risk, a 4 out of 5. So we're talking really high-end stuff here, but not the tip of the spear high-end. That is something that, of course, it's been a while. It's been 9 years since the last time that high risk was issued in the month of March. So I'm sure the folks at the Storm Prediction Center, the Navy SEALs of severe weather forecasting, are really treading lightly whether or not they are going to issue that. So let's jump into the weather graphics here and dive just a little bit deeper before we say goodbye. We've got a few things to cover. I want to show you, of course, the graphic from the Storm Prediction Center. We looked at this earlier, but it deserves looking at again. There's quite a few million people under the gun for severe weather tomorrow. That red color there, that is that moderate risk. 8 million people are in that moderate risk. It covers almost the entire state of Mississippi, almost all of Alabama, a small little chunk of Tennessee in the southwest, Memphis included in that. Louisiana added to that moderate risk. That was not the case earlier today, as well as the western or eastern edge of Arkansas, I should say, that is also in that moderate risk. This is mainly looking like a damaging wind event, large hail capable of upwards of 2 inches in diameter, and a couple of tornadoes, some of which could potentially be violent tornadoes. And when you hear that verbiage from the Storm Prediction Center, that means EF3 and above. Now, that is the case for Wednesday, but this is not over with as we work our way into Thursday. This just keeps trucking its way eastward. This could very well be a late night event tomorrow. Those storms really firing up into the middle of the day around noon. And then from there, it's kind of off to the races. As Aaron touched on earlier, there was a tornado-warned storm as we were chatting this evening in Mississippi. So the environment's ready. And with the prime heating of the day tomorrow, that's when you're likely to find some really significant storms. This is Thursday, an enhanced risk in effect for the southeastern coastline of the U.S., covering almost all of South Carolina and Georgia and almost all of North Carolina as well. The tornado threat not as imminent for this day on Thursday, but it is certainly still something to watch out for. We're still 48 hours away from this, but needless to say, 2 days out from this, and the Storm Prediction Center issuing that enhanced risk just to shows you how bullish they are on this particular event. Here's how it will play out. We're going to start the clock here at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, right now, there are actually blizzard warnings in effect for the panhandle of Texas. Can you believe that? It's like 2020 is just chasing us into 2021 here. Blizzard warnings and severe weather threat just a few hours later. It's really wild stuff. But this is the low pressure center that is really going to kick things off tomorrow morning. Watch, we're going to advance it into the morning hours and pause it right around 12:30. And I touched on that this would kind of be that make or break time when we really see things ramping up. And with the prime heating of the day, the Gulf of Mexico feeding in to that frontal line, that is where we are likely to see those storms firing up into the second half of the day and taking us through the overnight hours all the way pretty much through Thursday afternoon. Could even be pushing a little far to the north and east, bringing some heavy rain to Ohio and Pennsylvania as well. But the severe weather threat remains along that southern tier of the United States. In terms of the power outage forecast, this is basically an index that's looking at the likelihood of there being strong enough winds to lead to a potential power outage. And anywhere where you're seeing the red color, that is a severe forecast for power outages, meaning you're more than likely to lose power than not. So again, you have the time now for the folks that live in Mississippi and Alabama, that if you don't have those supplies, just in case you need them, make sure your cell phones are full and charged. Matt, if you can take you can take my camera here just for a second here. I'm glad that I have this on the desk. This is a power bank here, this little guy. These folks don't pay me anything, but I really, really can't recommend one of these enough just to be able to charge your devices. You can see you can plug it right into USB. So if you do happen to lose power, I mean, your phone can be your lifeline to the emergency services. So you need to be sure that that is charged in the case that you do lose power. Matt, let's jump back to the weather graphics here. We're going to take a look at what's called QPF, and really what this is looking at is all of the rain over the next 72 hours. And you can see that this number has actually come down a little bit. This actually updated live on me here. So that 5+ mark is actually closer to northern Georgia there. But nonetheless, a lot of rain coming from this event as well. So flash flooding is, of course, a concern with these storms that could be sitting over an area for an extended period of time. Now, we're going to end on this because this is some pretty important information to pass along to you. And most of you that live in the southern United States already know all of this, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention this. You need to know where your safe place is in case a severe thunderstorm or tornado warned storm comes to where you live. You want to avoid the exterior walls. Don't worry about it being north, south, west, east. It doesn't really matter. You want to be in the interior of your home. Put as much wall, really, between yourself and the outside. You don't want to be on a wall that faces to the exterior. Now, we are coming at you live here from Orlando, Florida. And a lot of folks in Florida don't have basements. And if you do not have a basement, well, you can still find a safe place in your home. Again, the most interior location, often that's a bathroom, a crawl space under a flight of stairs, a closet in the center portion of your home. Know your safe place now, so in case you need to go to it in a hurry, you know where to go. It might seem silly, but cover yourself with blankets or a mattress in the off chance that your house is struck by a tornado. This could literally save your life. A bicycle helmet. I mean, these are, you might think it's silly, but these are legitimate ways to protect yourself and your family. And again, you want to avoid the windows. I cannot stress that enough, because if you do have debris flying around your home, that can easily smash those windows, and then that glass becomes a major hazard flying into your home. One thing I want to mention as well, and Matt, you can take me back in a full, we're done with the weather graphics here, is that in the event of a severe weather outbreak, mobile homes become mobile. That's really important. If your home has a foundation, if it does have a basement, or if it has a foundation, you're in a safer environment, I should say. But with a mobile home that was brought to a particular place, those can easily become lofted, and that is where fatalities can occur. So if you do live in a mobile home, or if you know somebody that does, just know where that safe place is, whether it's a shelter nearby, a grocery store, a department store, somewhere that you can go to that you know you can rely on in a severe weather event. Maybe call ahead to make sure that that is the case. But you want to be sure that you can have a safe place to go to in the event that severe weather comes your way. Don't get in your car and try to outdrive it. That's not a safe place. And really, it's important to make sure that your devices are all charged into tomorrow in case you do lose power. So we've got so many questions coming into the chat, and I really wish that I could answer all of them, but we've got a lot going on right now. We will be coming at you live many times as we work our way through this next 24 hours. Don't you worry about that. But you will see me again coming up at 11 o'clock. I'll be putting an update across all of our social media channels. And of course, you will see me in the fast forecast that will go live into tomorrow to give you kind of a look ahead at the day. We've talked a lot about it today, but I should have some more updated information for you as we head into the second half of the evening here. And then I will be joining you for live coverage throughout the day tomorrow. And of course, be sure to check us out on social media. Aaron Jajac, the man's going to have a long day out ahead of him, but we can't think of a better person to be out there documenting things. So be sure to follow us on social media for the latest, and be sure, of course, to follow Aaron Jajac as well. We will see you coming again here at 11 o'clock Eastern time. But until then, stay safe and, of course, stay dry. We'll catch you back here later. See ya.